obviously, Matt, thank you so much for joining me on this event today. For everyone who joined and everyone who's here or everyone who sees this later on, obviously, thank you so much for tuning in for this. So we're going to be talking about Amazon's Buy with Prime, which is one of my favorite features because I've been preaching omni-channel for what feels like forever at this point. And so what we're going to dive into today is obviously the pros and cons of Buy with Prime, the functionality of Buy with Prime, and then also the different marketing strategies that you can implement to make sure that you're leveraging Buy with Prime as best as possible. I am a diehard fan of the omni-channel marketing strategy. I've put what I now consider basically a Band-Aid in place in the past to do something similar. And then Buy with Prime came out and it made my life super easy. So obviously I wanted to hop on this as soon as we could. But first, obviously, we'll do the original stuff. I'll give you all a little bit of insight. My name is Andrew Maffetone. I am the founder and CEO here at BlueTuskr. We are a full-service marketing company for e-commerce sellers. And Matt, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm based out of Denver, Colorado. Been with Amazon for almost 6 years. Been working with Buy with Prime since December last year. Spent the first 5 years here working with getting sellers onto Amazon, onto the marketplace. So it's been a fun shift to now work with brands and help them hopefully get more traffic to their own sites.
Fantastic. And that's what our goal is today. So we're going to talk a little about what we're going to go through so we all have an understanding of what our agenda is today. Of course, I want it to be very open. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything throughout this entire event, please feel free to just throw them in the chat. We'll touch on that in a minute here. But basically what we're going to get into here is how your Amazon business can actually benefit from an off Amazon approach, whether that's directly to a website with Buy with Prime or how that can kind of benefit from just going directly to a listing or storefront, anything like that. We're going to touch on Amazon's Buy with Prime, of course, because that is the main reason why we're here. And we're going to talk about custom button creation, which is the Band-Aid that I had originally put in place, and Amazon attribution, all that fun stuff. We'll talk about who Buy with Prime works for and who it doesn't, because in a perfect world, one day it will work for everyone and we'll all be happy. But until then, there are some limitations. We'll touch on a little bit of that, how it works. Obviously, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how that goes through, and then all of the different omni-channel marketing strategies that you can leverage to make sure that you are functionally using Buy with Prime in its best possibly. And we're going to go through how to track the results, because that's always the hardest part, and then how to get everything to work together. So we're going to touch on that too. A little bit of housekeeping. As I just mentioned, you have any questions, comments, concerns, all that fun stuff, there is a chat off to the side there. A bunch of you already kind of telling us where you're from, which is fantastic. So please feel free to continue to do that throughout this entire event, and we will make sure to address them as they come in. At the end, we are going to be doing a giveaway, because I always like to thank everyone for coming. I feel like you should get some kind of benefit for actually showing up as opposed to just signing up and watching it later. So if you are here, we will be giving away our multi-channel paid advertising spreadsheet that lets you track everything across the board. I'll touch a little bit on that later, but just going to give that to everyone towards the end here. And then I'm also giving away a free custom design landing page and design and development, I should say, and we will also help implement the Buy with Prime functionality as well, obviously, if that's relevant for you. And we're giving away 3 different audits, one of whatever your choice is, CRO, SEO, or email marketing. I'll tell you guys how to submit for that towards the end as well, but we'll touch on that. First things first, what I want to do before we start diving into anything, I would like to get a general understanding of anyone who is currently driving any kind of traffic from their Amazon business to Amazon, or I'm sorry, from off Amazon to Amazon. This is why you don't have an energy drink like right before these things, because you start stumbling over everything. But just a little bit of insight. There is a poll that I am publishing now. Let us know if you are currently driving traffic to your Amazon business from off Amazon. I'm very interested. I know a lot of people are probably focusing on Google ads, Facebook ads, maybe some influencer marketing directly to Amazon, whether it's to the listing or to the storefront. In some cases, you could theorize that you're driving it to your website and then letting it go over. If you already have Buy with Prime and you're here to learn more, you have a custom button or something like that. Right now, it looks like we're at a 50-50 split. Leaning towards yes. Oh, and we're back at 50-50 split. So we're going to have pretty much a split audience today, it seems like. Give you all a couple minutes here to fill that out. If you joined us on our last webinar, it was all about driving traffic from off Amazon to Amazon We did touch on Buy with Prime a little bit and what it's like to drive traffic specifically to a landing page, or obviously ideally to a full website. And then today, that's what that main focus is on. Looks like we've got a little bit more. So yeah, we've got about I'm just going to round up, call it a 60-40 split. So a good amount of you already driving traffic directly to Amazon. We'll dig into a little bit if that's directly to Amazon or if that's to your own site. But if you are here today, there's a good chance that you are either an Amazon seller who's looking to increase their sales. You're tired of the increasing CPCs, which are consistently increasing. And by the way, that is not Matt's fault, so don't blame him. Or you're annoyed with competitors. You're looking to diversify, all that fun stuff. Or you're a seller looking to grow on the Amazon platform and looking for kind of ways to build that bridge. So we're going to touch on that all through today, so you know why you're here. But without further ado, I think we're ready to do this. Matt, you ready?
Yep, ready. Beautiful.
All right. So, quick story on how I originally got into this. So, this is my beautiful wife. I have been in the e-commerce digital marketing space for a little over 15 years now. Her and I have been together longer than that. And so, years ago, I watched her shop because that's what she does. And I would watch her go to Amazon and be interested in the product, but maybe it wouldn't have a ton of reviews. So she'd get curious about the brand. She would leave Amazon and she would go to she'd go Google them or go to social media and try to find them just to see if they were a reputable brand or not. Then she would also do the opposite, where she would go to someone's website, and if they didn't have like a lot of reviews, there wasn't a lot of proof, and she was kind of like, or maybe she wanted it faster than what they had to offer, she would go over to Amazon to see if they had it there. So I started to realize that the way that she shopped was, she knows, excuse me, nothing about what I do, no matter how much I tell her. So she goes back and forth all the time, and I realized the customer journey is so fluid that if we're able to actually bridge that gap, it can actually improve the overall customer experience. So what I used to do is I actually used to develop these custom buttons, which we're going to touch on, but I wanted to give a little bit of insight and some background into how I had originally thought of this years ago. And then obviously someone else at Amazon was thinking the same thing. Someone else probably has a very similar wife, and they made it a lot better than what I was doing before. So we're going to touch on all of that. So how does an Amazon business benefit from a website? Similar to what I had just mentioned, right? Like my wife would leave and she would search to find their credibility on their own website, their social media, that kind of stuff. So the credibility is definitely a big thing. It's a better experience for the customer in terms of knowing that you have that sort of functionality. Now, the other side of it is obviously Amazon is a massive search engine that has all the products, and it's nuts, right? Beating out Amazon in many cases is difficult, at least from the way it's been going. But you do have a lot more control over how you want the user to experience your website. So obviously your site, you can do whatever you want with it. So there is that benefit. But actually starting to merge the two, you see improved conversion rates both on and off Amazon when you have a multi-channel approach. So having this kind of stuff, growing the overall assets of the business, a lot of people, which we'll touch on towards the end, see a higher exit when they go to get acquired if they have kind of more of a multi-channel approach and they've developed a website into an asset. So we're going to touch on that too. But so what I want to touch on a little bit here is the pros and cons of Buy with Prime. I'm going to do the same thing with the custom buttons, and I'm going to do the same thing with both. And then Matt, please feel free to tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right, or whichever direction you want to go in for that. But obviously one of the pros being that you have a 3% Buy with Prime fee. It's a $1.50 minimum, so there's no referral fee. So Matt, you usually tend to word that better than I do, but I know traditionally a seller is spending X through like FBA fees, all that fun stuff. Buy with Prime, it's not the same. So can you touch on that a little bit? I know we're getting into that later, but just to shine on it now.
Yeah, definitely. So as you guys know, when you sell a product on Amazon, there's a referral fee. Most categories, it's 15% off the sale price of the item. And then you have the fulfillment fee as well. With Buy with Prime, it's going to be a 3% fee or a $1.50 minimum. So anything under $50 is a $1.50, but you're not paying that 15%. So there's that big difference there, which is usually a pretty big difference maker in terms of the costs.
Yeah, so it's clearly a big saver. I know last time I spoke with you and your team, the 3%, that is currently Is that currently locked in, or is that for like a short time period right now?
As of right now, that's what it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Even better. Beautiful. Yep. Obviously, the other pros being the delivery estimate. So, when you go to Amazon, you have directly under like the FBA section, they're telling the user like, hey, you can get this by Tuesday or Saturday, whatever direction is. This actually can read their IP and get an understanding of where they're going to be, or where they're at, so they can actually immediately see when they can expect that shipment. So the big benefit of knowing that they can get it in 2 days is very clear. 2 days or however long it is very clear to them. It's a quick one-click purchase. And then my personal favorite thing is that you actually get to keep all of the data. So your name, your email, all that fun stuff that you need to actually remarket them in the future, which we're going to touch on the many, many different ways you can use this kind of data. That's one of my favorite parts. There are cons to it. There are the obvious. You have to be an FBA seller. Right now, it's US only. The one that I'm having fun with right now is the variation limits. So that's a thing. The variation limits, though, it's Matt, the 1,000, correct?
Right now it's 100. So really soft lines is kind of one of the big ones where they may have, just because you have different sizes and colors. So that's one to definitely, be aware of if you have, more than 100. That's per parent ASIN. So it's not just 100 variations total, it's per parent. So something to be aware of depending on the products you have, the category you're in, and also how you have your listings built in your seller's account. Something to pay attention to.
Yeah, as you said, it's something that's dependent on what's in the seller account. However, the 100 variation limit is also something that Shopify has. So if you're doing this on Shopify, it obviously integrates with also BigCommerce, everything else. But if you're doing it in Shopify, they have the same variation limit, so it's really not that different. But they do have a limit. Right now, you can only purchase the one product at a time. So if someone finds a product, they click on it, that's the product that they're purchasing. So having someone purchase multiple units can be tough. It can still be done. It's just through multiple clicks. And then right now, there's no way to do the subscription side. But as soon as that comes out, I'm going to have fun with that one too. But the custom buttons. So this is what I used to do. So basically what I would do is I would actually use the Amazon attribution. I would create my own like buy on Amazon, available on Amazon, that kind of button. And what we would do is we would still get the Amazon attribution. We'd get the referral bonus, all that fun stuff. But you still have certain limitations of like, you're not getting the user data. You've got your standard Amazon fees. And then there's no way to tell if they actually converted or not. You can through Amazon attribution, but there's still it's still not as black and white as I would have liked it to be. So it worked in terms of helping sellers benefit on the Amazon side from their website, but some pros and cons on both sides here. For both of them, the nice thing is that you can easily track all of them with a pixel. So you put a Google Tag Manager in place, you can track an event for anyone who clicks on the button. The nice thing about Buy with Prime is it's a lot more trackable in the back end. Then, of course, it's kind of the same thing with Amazon attribution. You can leverage all of that off Amazon audience down the line for more marketing strategies that you end up putting in place. Obviously provides the credibility, which I know we're going to touch on a little bit here about what that conversion rate lifts look like once you have one of these implemented on the site. And the con side, your margins are still going to be lower. That is the case. However, I've always caveated with if you see the increase in conversion rate and yet you're seeing slightly lower margins, it's kind of still a break even most of the time, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that, but we can also do the math for anyone who's here. And they don't really communicate with the paid ads channels, which is kind of a problem. Like it doesn't really necessarily tell Google if someone converted or Facebook. So that type of strategy can sometimes be a struggle, but still works. So we're going to touch on that. So in terms of who is a fit for Prime, I think, Matt, you might be better to answer these ones than I will.
Yeah. So at this time, it does need to be a US-based entity, and it is only for .com in the US. We're working on it. It's still a new product, only really been publicly announced for a few months, really. So we are still working on developing the product. It's not in its final state. You do need a Seller Central account. The products don't actually necessarily need to be actually sold on Amazon. You do need to create the listings in your inventory, but you can set a future start date so that it doesn't show on Amazon, but that would allow you to ship product into FBA. So if you do have some SKUs where you want to offer them on Buy with Prime, but you don't necessarily, for whatever reason, want to sell them on Amazon, it is an option. So just there are some, there's some flexibility there for you guys. And yeah, we use Amazon Pay to process the payments, obviously. So yep.
Yeah. I'll just keep going.
Cool. Yeah. So Buy with Prime, basically what we're looking to do is really help convert Prime members with that Amazon branding and that Buy with Prime badge. So, Prime members know that with that Prime promise, it should be a quick and easy checkout, and they can get that product in 1 or 2 days without having to pay for shipping. And that quick delivery with the Prime promise is what we're looking to do. And that brand recognition hopefully will help, like Andrew's example with, his partner in terms of kind of validating things from either on the DTC site over to Amazon and trying to like cross-reference stuff. We're hoping that, having that Amazon branding on your DTC site could help with that peace of mind. Also, the Prime members also know that, it is easy to return things if they need to for whatever reason. So really hoping to help that customer have confidence wherever they are, and so that can help in turn turn to conversion on the DTC site.
Beautiful.
For merchants, a few of the ways that Buy with Prime can help your needs. We are looking to hopefully help you boost traffic by having that Amazon branding, as well as some marketing levers that you guys can pull with, Buy with Prime badge and some other things with Amazon display ads. And hopefully this will help with increasing conversions too. So when people get to your site, that they actually go through and make that purchase on your site because of that Prime promise, the quick and easy checkout. And then hopefully, since you are going to get that customer data, that you can nurture that relationship with those customers and have a better relationship with them. However you like to handle that relationship, you'll have the data to do that with their email and that info, which, as you know, with Amazon.com orders, you don't get that info. And we're really hoping to help bring down that cost of customer acquisition down so that it doesn't cost you as much to get that customer converted to actually buying a product on your site. And can go to the, so another, convenient, reliable, trustworthiness with Amazon. 55% of people say, free shipping is one of the most important things to them. I think probably everyone's been shopping online where they go to buy a product for $20, they go to checkout, and then next thing you know, it's going to charge them $30. And so we're hoping we can reduce cart abandonment as well with this Prime promise, making it quick and easy and knowing you're not going to have to pay for shipping. And right now we are seeing an average increase in conversions of 25%. So that's a pretty big lift for just adding a simple checkout option that, as we'll get into in a few slides, the next few slides, for what is typically a pretty easy integration. So setting up Buy with Prime, you would sign up for Buy with Prime. So you just input like your business name, address, info. That'll get you access to the Buy with Prime Merchant Console. In the Merchant Console, once you're in, you will link your seller's account to the Merchant Console. This is so you can import your listings so that you don't have to add one by one product like the title and the price and the SKU info like that. And then you will also sign up for an Amazon Pay account, which doesn't cost anything to do that, but that's what we use to charge the customer and process that payment. And then you will pick which SKUs you want to enable to have that button show up on. So you just simply toggle on or off a little button that will make the button either show up or not show up. These first 3 steps are usually about 20 to 30 minutes, kind of depending. In most situations, it's pretty quick and easy there. And then what we can do is there are instructions on how to set the button up yourself, depending on the platform you guys are using. Or we do even have an onboarding team where we can connect, do a screen share where, basically be, go here, click here, copy this, paste that. It's a little snippet of code that goes on one of the theme pages of the, the back end for the DTC site. And that's all the coding that's needed. You don't have to type the code, we'll generate it for you. And then in terms of having the button show up or not show up, that's where you can do that, stuff that you did in step 3. Also, if the product goes out of stock, the button will go away on its own. It'll come back if you send more inventory in. And so you guys there's really no maintenance with the button once the code is placed and once it's up and going. And then once it's actually up and running, which those steps are around an hour from signing up to it actually being live in most instances. There can be some nuances with, tons of variations, or some websites have a lot of customization to their pages. So, in general, it's about an hour. There might be some outlier cases there, but then once it's up and live, we can optimize, do collections pages, do some social advertising, and different things that we can, kind of talk through once the button's up and live. So there are other recommendations, like obviously, high SKU parity is great. Just the more options there. Collections pages can work really well if you have products where not everything makes sense to have the button on. Maybe 60% of your catalog is enabled with Buy with Prime. You can have a collections page that will have all those Buy with Prime products displayed, so that customers don't have to kind of click around and guess which products will have Buy with Prime and which ones won't if they're looking for that. That collections page can really help with that. And then, using the marketing toolkit that's available to you that has some Amazon branded assets to help leverage some social ads or email campaigns. There's the access to that. So we're really hoping to, help drive more traffic to DTC sites. Can even import reviews from Amazon and ratings from Amazon. So that's something that can help with that, research that people may be doing as they're, deciding whether or not they're going to buy a product.
Beautiful. That's where I come in.
Yep, exactly. The cost to do Buy with Prime. So there's no sign-up fee and there's no monthly fee, which, is nice to be able to try it out without having to do any major financial commitment. There's that 3% fee or $1.50 minimum that we touched on a bit earlier. The fulfillment cost is going to be similar to FBA. It is a little bit more expensive than FBA. We actually use the multi-channel fulfillment rate card. Basically, the merchant's going to be paying that 3 to 5 day ground rate, but the customer is going to get that free 1 to 2 day shipping. And then we use Amazon Pay again to process that payment. It's 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction, and we have a promotional rate going through April of next year where it's 2.4% and 30 cents per transaction. So that should be in line with any other payment processing that you guys should be using out there. So those are the costs that you'd see. Again, no upfront cost, no implementation cost other than about an hour of your time. And then these fees are ones that you guys would see once purchases are actually made. That's the rate card. That's a link on the Buy with Prime Amazon page that you guys can see. If you're not familiar with multi-channel fulfillment, do notice one difference is if you buy multiple units, it does bring that cost per unit for fulfillment down. So while it is a little bit more, let's just say it's $7.50 for the 1 unit. If you buy multiple units, it brings that price down. So while we can't do multiple SKUs or different SKUs right now with cart building, customers can purchase like more than 1 unit. So if they wanted, like, let's just say they're buying socks, they wanted to buy 3 pairs of socks, they can add 3 of the same SKU and check out all at once.
Beautiful. Just so everyone knows, I did just add the link to the rate card in there because I know it's not the greatest thing to look at on here. And then real quick, Tim had some questions. Do you still own all of your customer data? Yes, Tim, you do. And I'm going to touch on a little bit of that soon here. And then he also asked, Matt, this one would be for you. How are shipping problems / claims handled?
Yep. So you guys will be in charge of that customer relationship. So you'll have the ability, we even have like an FAQ section that you guys can reference on how to handle some of those interactions, but you do have a lot more freedom to communicate, then it's not as restricted as it is on Amazon.com. The customer may go through that order as if they were returning something, but they should be going to you guys to kind of talk through that.
Beautiful. Whoop, 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 whoop. And this is on the shipping side, right?
Yep. Yeah. So this is just a few examples, whether you got a small, medium, larger size product at different price points. So yeah, you can see kind of where your products typically fall. We'll give you a second to look over it and get a general idea of the costs that you might see depending on, what your normal product size is.
Yeah. Matt, and you and your team have a calculator that can actually help for like specific behind this, right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone who's watching this, when you reach out to the reps, they'll help you figure out the actual ending numbers, because I know that can be sometimes pretty complicated.
And this is a little just snapshot of the merchant console. So it is independent of Seller Central, but this is where you'll see your order info, sales history. There's promotions and marketing tabs in here. That's where everything kind of Buy with Prime related will live. It is not in Seller Central, but it's also a lot less to it. I know a lot of sellers, Seller Central can be pretty overwhelming, and there's seemingly endless amount of info in there. So this is just a little snapshot of what that merchant console does look like when you sign up for Buy with Prime.
Okay. Now I want to touch a little bit on the marketing side, how some of this stuff gets leveraged. Tim, I know you had a question around how that, the data that comes through and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to touch on that. But real quick, just out of curiosity, I'm going to do another quick poll here just to get some insight into which traditional marketing channels is working the best for you right now. It'll help me get an understanding where I should kind of cater some of this conversation. But I did just launch that poll. So we have SEO, you have your search shopping ads, which could be Google and or Bing/Microsoft. Social media marketing, which can include just social traditionally, or your advertising, influencer affiliate marketing, retention email marketing, anything else, or someone who's not doing anything at all off Amazon. You can also just tell us that too. But let me know what some of your top marketing channels are. We'll kind of cater to that. Looks like right now it is pretty heavy on the what I'm going to assume is the Google side, but of course there are some that do pretty well on Bing and Microsoft also. Email traditionally, yep, love that. SEO, that's good to hear. That's your leader. Nice. Social starting to show. Makes sense. Cool. All right, I'm going to leave that poll up for a second while I keep moving on here. But we're going to see, looks like mostly on the Google Ads side. So we're going to touch on everything that the marketing strategy you can use to leverage Amazon's Buy with Prime. And we're going to touch on social search, influencer, and email marketing. However, there are countless ways that you can use this, because in reality, it's the end of the sale, right? So theoretically, any marketing strategy would work. But I want to touch on the ones that can really leverage it and that can actually kind of have a little bit extra like love to it, I'm going to say. So I'm going to touch on the social side, which seems like we got about 12% of people here that's one of their leaders. So you're going to end up reaching an audience that may not be aware of your products. You're already aware of this. You already know this. If you sell on Amazon and you are in a wildly competitive space, or maybe you're selling something that no one's ever heard of, it's a great place to educate the market. You get significantly lower CPCs on there because it's so top of funnel than you would really anywhere else. And you can really start to build that audience and build your social media into more of an asset. Now, the reason I picked this specific for Buy with Prime is from an advertising perspective, because with Buy with Prime and with obviously doing the custom Amazon button, you can add that pixel code, the event code, to the button. So you can actually track who clicked it, who went through and actually made the purchase for Buy with Prime, and you can get an understanding of what you need to do to be able to adjust to kind of cater to that a little bit more. One of the things that I'll show towards the end here, as you can find a way to bring it all together, is how you can leverage that data to actually segment out your Amazon audience from your traditional D2C audience and actually increase and improve your Amazon business by doing marketing campaigns directed straight to Amazon as opposed to your website, which is a theory, and I'm going to run you through that in a second here too. From a search and shopping side, it's the exact same thing, right? The best part about Buy with Prime, or even the custom button, which is usually like, now that Buy with Prime's out, it's not as relevant, but the best part about both of them is that you can also leverage the shopping ads, because if you're doing Google ads and you're just driving them directly to Amazon, the problem is you can only do search. So shopping isn't an option. While Google does have 90% of the market share for searches, it's only got 46% of the share for product searches. Amazon is much higher. And I'm sure Matt would probably argue like it's actually even higher, better than that. But that's the number I was able to find. So Amazon's already ranking really high, so ranking the products is a lot easier. Increasing organic rankings on Amazon from the traffic to test that traffic does help. So that would be if you're doing the custom button, and then leveraging the Amazon advertising data as a starting point. So the nice thing is if you're already advertising on Amazon, you can pull that search term report and put that into put that into Google to be able to speed that process up. Get rid of this poll here. The influencer side is very interesting. This is something that I know Amazon's doing a lot of pushing on right now, of making sure that people are leveraging Amazon or leveraging influencers. The nice thing with the influencer side, especially for influencers that are specific to Amazon, is they're usually using hashtags like, or they're posting on the Amazon lifestyle page, or they're using hashtags like found on Amazon or Amazon finds or something along those lines. So you can easily find these Amazon influencers that have a good size following, but have been spending their time sending most of the traffic to Amazon. You can work with them to also send them to Buy with Prime, set them up as an affiliate. Plus, it gives you a lot of extra content for your social media, etc. Some of this stuff I know is very clear, but Amazon has been heavily pushing influencer marketing, specifically with influencers that have like 1,000 or more, which is more of like your micro ones, but they tend to work really well. So that's kind of another way that you can actually look at pulling all this different stuff together. Whoop, click. Email marketing. So this is the one that came out today. I woke up this morning, started going through email, and I was like, oh man, I got this webinar today. And of course, Klaviyo is trying to outdo me. So Klaviyo has integrated with Buy with Prime. The best part about this that I love, and I have not got a chance to play with it yet, so forgive me that I don't have that much information on it. But the best part about this is if someone comes to your website and they purchase through Buy with Prime, it now directly integrates with Klaviyo, which means they're getting into Klaviyo, which means you can tag them as whatever you want to make the tag for within Klaviyo and send them down your own funnel that is specific to Amazon, which means now you can segment out your audience who likes to shop on Amazon. So the best part about this that I love, I'm going to touch on towards the end here as I get on like product launches and that kind of stuff. But I love that they integrated with this. It was a great move for both brands here. I think that having that easy integration is going to be fantastic. And now you can begin to develop that email list even further with people that you know actually shop on Amazon. So I see this as Amazon's way of finally letting us have some of our audience back and actually be able to leverage some of that customer data. So using this is all fantastic. I'm definitely going to be setting up the Klaviyo side and figuring out the best strategies in terms of an email drip campaign for people that actually sign up through that and actually do it through Klaviyo. Now, tracking it all, super fun. The custom button, should you choose to go that route, which really the only reason you would go that route is if you have confidence in the fact that your listing is converting really well, and you'll actually probably see a bit of an organic lift because you're driving traffic directly to the listing. The listing is getting more traffic, it's getting more engagement, it's getting more sales, it's getting more reviews. It's going to start to improve organically. Buy with Prime, they're staying on your site, so that's not necessarily the case. But Amazon attribution, where you get the 10% brand referral bonus, is obviously a great place and a great way to track everything within the back end of that. Google Tag Manager, using that to put the custom event code onto either the custom button or Buy with Prime, is a great way to be able to track which of your audience is actually clicking on one of those buttons, so that when you go to do future campaigns, you can retarget people that submitted that for that event. So now you've got a whole pixeled audience of people that you know have an interest in shopping on Amazon. Then you have all of the awesome functionality, which we walked through with Matt here for the back end of Amazon's Buy with Prime. So you can see everything in the back end there of who converted from what. And then, of course, it gives you that history of it with the paid ad spreadsheet, which I'll actually give you guys in a second here. But that way you've got everything kind of aggregated in one place. You get an understanding of what everything looks like. I'm a big fan of looking at a business from the top down, which is essentially looking at how much are you spending in advertising across all of your channels and how much are you making? Because the thing with Buy with Prime, or even with using Amazon attribution, is now you have to think, if you're spending ad dollars off Amazon to drive traffic to Amazon, you need to make sure that you're referencing that spend through your Amazon revenue. So looking at everything collectively as one business as opposed to separate businesses makes life a lot easier so that you understand the brand lift and the brand awareness lift that you're getting out of that. So everything we discussed today was obviously merging the Amazon business with traditional D2C, pros and cons of Buy with Prime. I know it's got most benefits. There's a handful of things that it's going to come out in the future, I'm sure. And that'll start to work flawlessly. So we're going to love playing with that. The Klaviyo thing was awesome. That was a great thing to wake up to. So I'm definitely probably playing with that with a bunch of the clients we have using this now. With the omni-channel strategy, tracking it all. The thing that I make clear to a lot of the Amazon sellers we work with that are looking to diversify away from Amazon is that when you build a website that's got a good organic good organic traffic, you've got a good social following, you've got a good email list, you've now built this audience and it's become its own asset. On Amazon, the nice side is obviously it's a revenue machine and you can acquire customers at a really inexpensive cost comparative to really anything else. But it's just product churning out and revenue and it's just a cog. The nice thing about having the business as a whole is that when you go to actually get acquired, you can actually sell for about 2 to 5x more than what you would if you were solely on Amazon, simply because you've now built this other asset. And usually the example I like to give, which I don't even know why this is my example because I don't fish very often, but if you were a hunting business, then you acquired a fishing business that solely was selling on FBA, you would get all the product, you'd start to get all the profit, you'd be able to leverage a lot of that, but you can't leverage the audience, you don't have any pixels, there's really nothing else you can use, so it's just kind of still two different businesses. But if you're a hunting business, you acquire a fishing business that has a lot of data on their website, they've got a big list, they now have an entire audience that they can sell their other products to, so the business is now that much more valuable. So that's why you tend to see companies that have a full omni-channel presence actually have a much higher acquisition than really anyone else. Now, the nice thing about all these different, I'm going to backtrack for a second here, about all these different things is using all of these channels together really helps you actually with your Amazon business as well. And the reason I say that is because you think about with social media, you're pixeling people. So you know who clicked on the Amazon button or on the Buy with Prime button, right? The search and shopping ads, very similar. You know people that are actively searching for something. They came to your site. They had an interest in what you sell on Amazon. The influencer marketing is allowing you to bring in the brand awareness and target people that theoretically are following them because they're also on Amazon. Email marketing, especially now that it integrates with Klaviyo, you can easily make a list of everyone you know that has shopped with you specifically on Amazon. So the thing that I love to do is with product launches. When you do a product launch on Amazon, you've got like a 30 to 60 day honeymoon period where they give you a real nice organic ranking so you can kind of get stuff going. That's what kind of keeps things fair. However, after a while, it starts to fall off. So if you actually take all of this data and do a campaign directed at your new product on Amazon and give them maybe some kind of incentive to try your new product and shop on Amazon first, that will actually get the snowball effect going for the organic ranking. It'll keep your organic ranking high. And then what you do is you just redirect that traffic back to your website and you continue your traditional marketing as you were doing before. So this is how I always take all this stuff and I kind of bring it together and then pivot the marketing based on what do I need my business to have right now? Do I need it to do this launch on Amazon? Do I need it to focus on my website for a campaign we're doing? The benefit here is you now have the ability to target your marketing dependent on what you're looking to launch. That's my favorite part of this. So of course I have to plug us. So how we can help, obviously BlueTuskr, we are a full service marketing company for e-commerce sellers. We do this kind of stuff all the time. We basically act as like an outsourced marketing department, and Buy with Prime is like one of my favorite things to work with because we really focus on an omni-channel approach. We have a full team of SEO experts, paid ads experts, people that are very specific into Amazon, email marketing, paid ads, you name it. So of course, we do a lot of work with Matt and his team in implementing Amazon's Buy with Prime and helping these different sellers put in omni-channel approaches to everything they're doing with their marketing strategies. So if you ever have any interest, feel free to shoot me an email. And of course, I do want to plug our next webinar. So our next webinar, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the SEO side. I know I didn't touch too much on the SEO side with this because to me, SEO is very It's how people find you. It's how people then get to know your brand. It's extremely top of funnel, but it's not always immediately transactional. So next webinar, which will be next month, we're going to actually touch a lot more on that. So please feel free to join that if you have any interest. And of course, we're going to get into the AI stuff because that's basically the main point of everything. And then, of course, up at the top, you will see that we do have 50% off all of our marketing reports. I am going to give you one of them for free, but we do also have like CRO reports, an entire marketing funnel report. We've got a master marketing document in there. We've got an Amazon listing document in there. We've got pretty much everything. So everyone who joined today, I wanted to make sure that we gave you guys something that I wanted to obviously send us over a thank you. And then, of course, a little bit of Q&A here and our giveaway. So if you are interested in, well, actually first, I'm going to put in the chat, there is the multi-sales channel paid advertising tracking spreadsheet. That's what we use internally to track all of our paid advertising efforts across every channel, across every paid advertising channel, as well as across every sales channel. So Amazon, your own website, other marketplaces that I won't name so Matt doesn't yell at me. And then, of course, if you are interested in the giveaway that we have today, which is the big one, which is our custom design developed landing page that we will help also implement Buy with Prime if you haven't done it already, you can submit for that. And we also have the 3 audits. So the way to do that is by emailing me there, which I just put into the chat. Shoot me an email. I'm going to throw it all into a randomizer. I'm going to pick the top 4 people. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, now is the time to put them into the chat. We are happy to answer any questions you may have. And I spoke a lot. Matt, how are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, doing good here. I think Sarah asked a question there. So
did I miss one?
it might, the Buy with Prime Merchant Console, even though you're linking your seller's account to it, won't talk back to your Seller Central account. So that info and that sales history and all that data won't be put, it shouldn't be pushed back to your seller's account. It will be in the Merchant Console. Depending on the platform you use, we can partner, we have an app that can push that info to the back end, like say it's Shopify or whatever, or BigCommerce can push that info so that it's all in one spot for you. But yeah, maybe that answers your question, Sarah.
I got one for you. What's the best, I guess we can use the term case study, that you've seen with Buy with Prime? Because I know it's been out for a while, but it was like invite only for a good time there. What's the best use case you've seen?
We've got a page that has a few different examples. Really, at the end of the day, it's any merchant who's gonna like commit to actually trying it, 100%, and not just dip the toe in the water. Maybe just do 2 or 3 low performing SKUs, but actually buy in with some of their better performing SKUs and giving it an honest try, which is the same thing I would tell sellers is, if they were wanting to try to sell on the marketplace in the first place, was just anyone who's going to really try to commit and give it a good honest try. Yep.
Karen had a question. When will Buy with Prime come to Canada or anywhere internationally outside the US?
I don't know yet. I know stuff like that's being worked on. I don't have any dates yet, but can definitely try to keep everyone posted as that stuff does start to roll out elsewhere.
Beautiful. And Karen, we work with people in Canada too, so I'm waiting on that also. So I will let you know as soon as I know, because I will be nagging Matt and his team about letting me know once that actually happens. But I think we got through all the questions. I think we're good.
Cool.
Beautiful. Everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, feel free to shoot me an email. My email's in there, but it's also andrew@bluetuskr.com. Otherwise, head over to the Buy with Prime that I also put in the chat there. So that way, if you have any questions, feel free to sign up. Matt and his team will make sure to take good care of you guys. But otherwise, Matt, I think I'm good unless you had anything else you wanted to chat about.
No, that was it. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Beautiful. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you all next time. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.